Okay, so I'm out driving around today. Hopefully you can hear me in the forest because it's supposed to be snowing this weekend. Um, and so I am out trying to get different kinds of plants. So here is some mullein. Uh, you can hear the wind up in the trees. Let's see if we can get some trees going. Lots of ponderosa up here. And then if you look over there, this is the beginning of, let's see if I can, one little aspen over there. But down that road, all of a sudden you get lots of magical aspen. So I am going to grab some of this mullein. I read that the second year is good, and the second year is when it has the stalks. So most of the mullein that I found is already frozen. We've had a couple of good freezes. So since I don't dye a significant amount of fiber at any given time, I'm losing it all because of the wind today. Yeah, bear with me. And I should be using gloves, but I have a tendency to not, even when I work with concrete. And we still have lots of thistles finishing up. So it's super pretty. Yeah, you can hear that sound is the wind through all the tops of the pine trees. And you can watch those clouds move and see that it's pretty windy. So I will grab some more mullein and on to the next stop. And back again. I haven't gone to the next stop yet. I forgot that I wanted to grab a bunch of ponderosa pine needles because I wanted to do some weaving, sort of basketry with some ponderosa pine needles. So grab some of those. I didn't grab a whole lot of mullein. That was going to be my experiment. Oh, here's a good clump. Look at that pretty little clump. Mullein was one of the first things I tried dyeing with. And the leaves as well as the flowers give color. So, all right. I think that's enough pine needles to play with. Okay, next stop now. Okay, before I get to the actual magical spot, I figured I'd just show you the rose hips that I'm finding. And last time I came down here, there were a lot more, but I'm okay not stealing all the animals' foods because I'm just experimenting. And it's grassy down in there, so you know there's water somewhere. Okay, be back in a few after I grab some rose hips. So I've walked a little ways, and the water magically appears from underground. And aspens. So, head down here. There's always, oh, they free-range cows down here. So, gotta watch out for cow pies. But look at that. I don't know. Look at the rocks. I'm glad nobody's down here today. And then you can hear the aspen dancing. And look at all that water. Now, if you walk up this cliff and then down several hundred feet, which is quite the walk, you can get to the bottom of this waterfall. So it's like 3 tiers down there into like a beautiful area of aspen way over there. So yeah, it's a magical spot. So there you go. All right, next stop. Okay, I am out in a place about a half a mile from my house that I found Navajo tea. And this is actually the nicest oak, scrub oak, I've seen. We do not have oak trees up here this high at elevation. So I am going to pick some leaves and see what that does. See, that one's pretty big, but it's still just kind of a scrub oak, not the oak I grew up with in California. So there you go. Okay, so I am on the side of the road and I was looking, and you can see it's windy, but so many of these plants are just dying and dead. That's some chamisa there. This is Navajo tea. So you really have to look among all the grasses to see this. And so I am gonna clip some of this. It doesn't need to be in bloom because the stems give an orange on wool. So, and I can save some of these seeds along with my plant seeds. Okay, so now I will clip some of this. And it's like super sturdy. It's hard to get. It's like thick and relatively, I don't know, still full of moisture and just hard. So there we go. I will get some of this, but that's just to show you how it's kind of hard to see in this landscape, even when it's blooming, which little flowers are yellow, but then everything is yellow. So there we go. Get out of this wind after I get some plants. Okay, one last stop, which is my property. I went out to a flat space at the National Forest where I always find tons of wild buckwheat. I only have a few plants on my property that I found, so I just wanted to show you. I think I was a little late this season, and it was way too windy. So here we have these pretty little orangey flowers. This was such a weird weather year that we had a lot of weeds that were red, so it was hard for me to find them. But it is, I hope this camera is going to get this. Where are we? Right in here. It's a clumpy plant. I'll get a picture I find online. I forget the name of the buckwheat, I think it is. But this is the flowers that I will pick. And in the spring and summer, they're more like white, but with a hint of green. So I have found, I just like yank off the flowers. God, I can't see with the sun. I just yank off the flowers and then save those. And the reason why I decided I would even try these, not knowing if they were a dye plant, was because it was the only thing with color out in the woods. And it turns out it is something Navajos use for dye. And while it doesn't do great on linen, It is a good color. It's kind of a golden orangey yellow. But then when you add iron, it turns green. And I will show you in the house what a beautiful forest green I get with iron on wool. So there we go. That's some of my little acre and a half here. But yeah, lots of weeds this year. And so I don't have much buckwheat on my property. I think I'm too late, so I'll have to live with what I have until next year. All right, get back at you. Okay, I am back showing you my harvest to some extent. That is, as it catches on everything, that is what Navajo Tea does on wool, even after it's dried. It's amazing. So that's about how much I got? Container worth. And I will let that dry. Put that aside. This is my oak leaves. Now I also found what I believe to be tiny galls on that oak tree. So I'm a little excited about that, even though it's nothing to speak of, considering it's not very big. And I also found these weird things on it. And I don't know if those were maybe gonna be galls, but when I crunch them, there's nothing there. It's completely empty. And to give you an idea, I picked one. Let me see if I can find it. To give you an idea how big these acorns are. I used to use them for dollhouse miniature elves and their caps because they're like really small. Okay, that is, let me look in the light over here. Those were gonna be acorns, I think. I know I grabbed a good one. Anyways, here, that's like generally a little bit bigger than that is what the acorn caps are on the oak that we have out here. I am going to experiment with the leaves and see what it does on linen. And I'll go ahead and put the galls in there too, just to add to the mordanting factor. So then we have my pine needles. Not that I'm dying with those or doing anything with those. And here we have, this is buckwheat on wool with iron. So it gives like this really gorgeous green, I think. A good dark green. This is a bag that I made, and you can see that there's kind of lighter threads in there. This is, I think they call it woolsey, when you weave linen and wool together. So it's lighter shades of green. It does not get this dark of a kind of a luscious green, I think, on the linen as it does on the wool. So, and then this is all I have left of the buckwheat that I harvested a couple weeks ago. So I will have to hang on to that. And lastly, I have my mullein leaves. And I will go ahead and simmer those up because I think they need to be fresh. I don't think they should be dried. And then that means I have to hurry up and spin something, grab some wool. I have wool on the line that was washed. But yeah, it means I need to hurry up and get some fibers mordanted. That's always such a hard word for me. Before before the dye would go bad. So I'm excited about that harvest. Hopefully my wool on the line is dry. I also have my whatchamacallit, rose hips simmering, and they look good. So that's just such a gorgeous orange from the Navajo Tea. It does not do that on the wool. Like I said, or I don't think I did say, it kind of gets a golden yellow on linen that I've spun. So I don't know if I can get that orange, but it's such a great orange. So I will post pictures after this of the results of my rose hips. It's looking good right now on wool. And then pictures of the mullein and what that ends up being on linen and on wool. So that'll be it for this video. I think that's rather complete and just kind of covers scavenging and foraging and seeing what's out there and playing around and planning all artistic endeavors. So, okay. Thanks for coming by.